The way to get rid of tension is to do just the opposite of all the things that cause it.
Hello everyone, this is Hugo from Ichiban Painting, and today I'll be talking about how can you protect your miniatures when you worked a lot and you put many hours into your miniature and you want them to last for a long time. One thing out there is that a lot of pro painters, commission painters and that kind of guy, or you know, like if you see a model made for Golden Demons or very big painting contest, most of the painters don't use gloss varnish at all on their models. Not gloss varnish, but varnish in general. You can call it dull coat, you can call it varnish, you can call it clear coat and all that. They don't use any because it's purely simple, is that any type of coats that you're gonna put on top of your model is gonna affect the color in a little or a lot, and it's gonna give take away a little bit of the detailing and stuff like that. Okay. So basically out there in the market there's three big types of varnishes. There's two application type, right? Three big type. I don't have the 3-1 here, but I have some flat clear. You have some in between. Normally you have the semi-gloss. So flat, semi-gloss, and gloss. Okay? Or they call it in other company, you have matte varnish, which is the same thing as flat. Then you have gloss varnish, and in between sometimes they call it satin varnish, okay? But it's equal to semi-clear. What are those three types? Very easy, if you don't know already. Flat and matte varnishes are a dull coat that has no shine whatsoever. It's just a protect coat. Then after that, semi-varnish or semi-gloss does have semi-gloss or satin varnish, which does have a little bit of shine to it, but not that much. And then you have the gloss or glossy varnish or lacquer or whatever they want to call it, that has a really extremely shiny finish, right? You have two types of kind of varnishes that you can buy. Vallejo makes the small bottles like this, or they make a little bit of a bigger bottle, which is liquid type. So with the liquid type you can actually either put it in your airbrush or use it with your brush. One thing that I would suggest is, especially the gloss varnish, if you use it and put it on your miniature with your paintbrush, dilute those. Okay, I'm talking for the Vallejo. I don't know the other companies because I work with Vallejo. But dilute it a little bit with water, because if you don't do that, you're actually gonna have brush strokes. But if you dilute the gloss varnish into with water, you won't have the problem of having some brush strokes that are left from the varnish. Okay, and then you have the other type of applicators that you can use, which are with spray can. These spray cans are Mr. Hobby. I don't know if you can get it anywhere around the world, but I use many types of gloss varnish. Of varnishes in general, or clear coat, and Mr. Hobby works well, Tamiya works well, Citadel works well. So it depends on what you want to buy, and you do need to try them out, because some varnishes sometimes do have a reaction with washes. But I'm gonna go into it, how I actually apply and when I apply my gloss. Then you're gonna be make sure that you don't make the mistake of ever having a certain reaction that's gonna happen on your miniature, right? So I use this kind of type of varnish only when I'm gonna be brushing it. Okay, I rarely, extremely rarely put these in my, oh my god, woo! I rarely put these in my airbrush and spray it on. I know that technically this should be a little bit more cost effective, meaning that you're not gonna waste as much gloss varnish as you use when you use a spray can, because spray can, you know, you're spraying a small model, but the spray can sprays everywhere around it, right? So it's a little bit more wasteful to use the cans. But the difference is that the chemical composition between the varnish that it's like this, which is an acrylic varnish, these ones are solvent based. Normally spray can paint is never 100% acrylic, is solvent based, so it has different chemical composition inside the spray can, which means that in the end the result is going to be a little bit more stronger. Okay, when do I use my varnishes, which is actually the big question. A lot of people, especially new painters out there, what they do is they're gonna paint their whole model, right? And once the whole model is finished, they're going to use their spray cans, right? So I would never suggest that. I will explain to you how I actually personally do my models. So basically, once I did my model and I painted my base coat on my model, the second step I'm going to go in is I'm going to go in to do all the base coat of the detail. By that I mean, like, for example, if you take this Space Marine right now, okay, we have the gun on the Space Marine. The gun would be normally silver, so the base coat of the silver would be black or a dark color. Then you have some gold detailing. The gold detailings, I will all do the detailing in brown, beastie brown. Then after that, so basically every part that's gonna have a color, I'm gonna do the base coat on it, every major detail. So I'm talking about the icons, the little cord, because this is a captain, his cape in the back, or his would be bloody red, the first not highlight but the base coat. Every base coat will be done, and no metallic colors, right? Once this is done, that's where I'm gonna go in with my spray can. I'm gonna spray my models, and then once they're sprayed and everything, then I'm done. I'm not gonna respray the model after I finish all the detailing and all the layers and highlighting. Why? As simple as, if I do that, by doing a really strong base coat, not base coat, but clear protection on the base coat, I'm going to make sure that my base coat is strong and won't be damaged. And then the detail, normally it's not the details that get damaged into the paint job. But of course, if you're handling your miniature a lot, this might change, you know, in opinion. But you need to take it from my perspective. I'm a commissioned painter, so I always try to do the best job and having the best minis that I can produce with the time I have, which means that I really want all my details to pop up and really look nice, right? So I don't want to have a coat of something that's going to go on top of it and that's going to actually mess up with my details, especially if you're doing light dry brush. If you do a dull coat on top of it, then you're going to fuck everything. Okay, let's talk flat clear, okay? Flat clear doesn't protect almost at all, okay? If you spray your whole model, if you drop it on the floor, it's going to protect it, but there's a good chance the paint's going to chip, right? Because it's not something that gets applied in a really thick coat, right? When you apply it on the model, you can spray it for a crazy amount of time and it's not going to start running down. So it's not a strong clear, okay? But I do use sometimes. Depending on what my clients ask me, that's when I'm going to decide which one I use. But for those of you out there, because I'm pretty sure if you're listening to this video, you're starting in the painting world, or if you're an advanced painter, I hope I'm making sense somewhere. For you of those out there that are beginning painter, what I would suggest is try to use this method of doing all the base coating on the model and the base coating of the detail. When I mean by base coating of the detail, it's really rare that you're just going to put straight up bloody red. Normally you're going to put straight up bloody red on the cape, and then after that you want to do your highlights. So your bloody red is your base coat, right? So once you did your base coat, you want to go in with a glossy spray. So either you apply it with your brush, that's totally up to you. I explained to you the differences between both and what I like, but the rest is up to you. Glossy gloss. And then you're gonna shoot it and make sure that you have a really good coat, not too thick, because you have to remember that you're still gonna go do some detailing after that, right? So you want to do a good nice coat of glossy finish. Then once the coat is dry, you want to go back with 1 or 2 or 3 coats, depending on how you want how the shine or how much the flat that you're using is going to dull down the gloss. But you want to go back with your gloss to dull down your paint, because you don't want to have a model that's like extra shiny, except maybe if you're doing it, you know, like Tyranids or some kind of army that the model is like a slimy monster. But even though if it's a slimy monster, the whole model technically wouldn't be you know, all glossy finish. Like for example, if we're thinking about I did a Carnifex like 2 or 3 months ago. The whole body was flat, but the shell on top of it was glossy. Or I could have done the opposite. The shell could have been flat and stuff like that. So it's really rare in real life that you have something that's really glossy. Okay? One little thing that I forgot. If you're doing that, don't do your metallics. Before doing this kind of technique of the gloss and then flat, don't do metallic colors, because once you do the gloss over metallic colors doesn't look really natural and great, and the metallic already has a reaction towards the light depending on how you look at it, the metallic is going to react with the sparkles they had, the pigments they have in there. So if you put some glossy in there, it's just going to mess up the way it looks, and it's going to look bad depending on the angle. And if you put flat clear, it's going to dull down everything on top of it. So keep your metallics for the end of the process. So once you're all done with your clearing and your dull coats and everything, that's where you want to go in and put your metallic colors. So then once everything is done, you just want to go back in and do your details, and you're going to be fine. So this is my personal way of using and doing the clearing of the models. I try to always do you know, good protection with these, but sometimes I don't, depending on the model it is and the details that I'm doing in it. But for you people that are starting up in the hobby, or you gamers out there that are playing with your model, doing the combo gloss and flat clear will actually really help you protect your models and make them last for longer. I really hope this little video shed a little bit of light into the subject. If you do have questions, just drop down in the comment section. I will try to answer your comments as well as I can, and probably if I answer your question, I'm going to answer them either by typing a response, or I'm going to do it in my second video vlog episode that's going to be coming out next week. So if you drop in questions for that, I'm probably going to throw in the vlog episode and answer your questions. You're going to have to check it out. If you're not already a subscriber, check out, I have a bunch of tutorials out there, and I'm always trying to improve the filming and the quality of the videos. So I have a bunch of tutorials out there that you can check out. If you're already one of my subscribers, I thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to do videos with you. So it was Hugo from Ichiban Painting, and I'll see you on the next video, guys. Cheers!